Hey, so the next few Shut Up and Talks you're gonna see here, actually we shot during the last charity drive, but we've only just now recently got around to finally editing them and getting them together. So, yeah, we don't have the set in this one, but we do have a lot of really, really good people. So, sit back and enjoy a bunch of these interviews. You may know my first guest as the reviewer of porn and Z-grade films under the alias The Cinema Snob, but that's not all he's done. He's also done several online movies, including Hooker with a Heart of Gold, Paranoia, and of course, The Cinema Snob Movie. Add that to shows like Ninja the Mission Force, Brad Tries, and his midnight screenings. My first question should be, does he ever sleep? This is the always constantly working Brad Jones. How are you, sir?
Great. It should differentiate that I wrote the not Harrison Ford Paranoia.
Yeah, not the, although...
The one about the competing cell phone companies and hitmen.
Well, more people probably know about it, but you still don't want your name attached to it.
I think more people might have seen mine.
So, okay, so you do all this stuff. I mean, just constantly, every week you have tons and tons of videos coming out. Was the hair just slowing you down? Is that why you shaved it?
Why I shaved the hair?
You just said, you know what? I can get more videos done without this hair. It's like a swimmer. It's just in your way.
It was totally slowing me down. Honestly, you're kind of half right.
Really?
In the sense that, like, I shaved it as a joke. I shaved it as a joke because at the end of one of the videos, I pull my hair out, but I cut it and then put it back on my hair and then pulled it out like that. But I knew going into the gag that the only way to salvage it was I would have to shave it. But I shaved it. I liked it. I was like, you know what, that's actually not bad. I can wake up in the morning, I don't have to comb my hair. But before, when I was playing the snob, I would do my audio stuff and then the on-camera stuff, and in between that I would throw on the suit and spend however long slicking the hair back. Now I just have to throw on the suit.
Did it really take you that long to slick the hair back? I slicked my hair back for still. It takes like a minute.
My hair is really wiry, dry, kinda, a little bit. To get it to where it didn't look too ridiculous, it took a little longer than you think.
It had to go. I had to shave it.
Just God, maybe I'll grow it back in the winter.
With everything we're talking about, with how many videos you put out, do you ever hit burnout? Do you finally just say, you know what, I need a break? Or is that just time that says, work harder?
No, because I don't get burnout too much. I mean, yes, of course sometimes I need a little bit of a break. Typically during the summer, mainly because of the humidity and stuff like that, and I can tend to get really tired very easily because of that. But it's all stuff that I enjoy doing, and it is what I do as my full-time job, so it isn't like I'm somewhere during the day and I do this stuff at night. It isn't like that. I'm just constantly doing this, so really it's a few days work on like a snob episode, and then the vlogs take just going to go see a movie and then shooting a review for it and doing that. And the movies I've been doing for well over 10 years, so it's stuff that I'm just used to doing, and I don't get burnout. I don't get burnout from watching the bad movies, the Z-grade exploitation stuff, because that's stuff I like watching anyway. You know, it doesn't really break my regular movie watching habit. For instance, like, would you probably have watched Steel?
Oh, classic.
If you didn't do it as like an episode of The Critic, whereas like me, I would be watching something like Elves regardless if I was doing the Cinema Snob.
You just love it either way.
Yeah, I love goofy stuff like that, so it really kind of fits in along with what I enjoy watching, so I don't really get burnout too much.
What does keep that drive going? Because, I mean, we have a lot of producers, and we all put out a lot of videos, but yours do seem to just be so constant and so quick. What does push you to put out so many?
Honestly, it doesn't take as long as you probably think. Doing an episode of The Snob is really like a 2-day process. It's watching the movie, writing the episode, and shooting it in one day, and then editing it the next. It really doesn't take all that long. And since I work from home, sometimes you feel that if you're not working on something, it's kind of like going to the office and not doing anything, you know, so you kind of get bored. You might sit there kind of bored and you don't really know really what to do. It's like, how many times can I play through Red Dead Redemption again, you know? So because of that, I'm constantly coming up with ideas, new stuff to write, but 2 videos that I have a week are usually the midnight screening videos, which involve going to see a movie at night, doing a vlog, and then posting it, so that doesn't take long. And I actually really like that. It gets me out of the house.
Even if you're just going into the night.
Even if I'm just
spend
going
your time
to see...
in the theater, in a car.
Like, honestly, like, I look forward to those because, yeah, it gets me out of the house because usually I'm at home writing something or I'm watching something or shooting something, but that gets me out of the house even if the movie turns out to be crap, like Smurfs 2. You know, I get out of the house, I go see a movie with my friends, and we do, like, a funny video on it afterwards. It's pretty enjoyable.
What do you find, what is the fascination, not only with watching film, but making film? Because you, of course, have made a few online films.
From my own personal perspective, it's making the type of movie that you like, that you kind of want to see. And with me looking at stuff like, I did a movie called Midnight Heat that's a 80s cop movie, and I made that because, hey, I hadn't seen a sleazy 80s cop movie in a while. I'll write my own, you know? It kind of came from that. Like, I'm going to write this sleazy 80s, really vulgar, really violent 80s cop flick and throw in this 80s soundtrack and make it sleazy and kind of cool. And so I like making the types of movies that I would want to sit there and watch at like 2 in the morning or something like that. Like you're flipping channels on TV and you come across this on like a UHF station in the middle of the night. And when I made Hooker with a Heart of Gold, again, it was, you know, I wanted to make kind of a sleazy, goofy comedy. When I made Game Boys, I was kind of in the mood to make a very dialogue-filled game reference comedy. So for me, yeah, it comes from wanting to write and direct the type of movie that I feel that I don't really see a lot of anymore.
Have you ever had any film training, or you just pick it up?
I make exploitation movies. You don't need that. No, because I always wanted to do my own thing. You know, in terms of directing a movie, I always wanted to write my own project, have control over it, be my own boss on it, really just kind of create something out of thin air, write it, shoot it, get some people to act in it, edit it, and hope that people will like it. That's the kind of director I wanted to be. I never wanted to be a commercial director. I never wanted to be someone you would just hire to make like a commercial or some big budget studio thing. That's not, I mean, that certainly takes schooling, it certainly takes talent, but it's not the kind of director I wanted to be. Honestly, truth be told, the directing part of it's probably my least favorite part of the process. I like the writing part of it, I like acting, and I like editing it. Directing it, yeah, I direct it because I want it to look a certain way, you know, and I kind of want to be in control over that, but it's probably the most stressful part of the whole thing.
Do you find that because you have this vision, it's just the film you want to see, and because you're not as connected to the whole commercial film aspect, that it's easier to accept criticism of it? Is it one of those things where you just sort of put it out there and say, hey, this is my thing, if you like it, great, if not, I like it?
Yeah, kind of, because I mean, I've written 7 movies. I've written stuff that I haven't personally liked, that I'm critical of myself, but I've written stuff that I've also liked. I mean, I make exploitation movies, and you can't make something like Hooker with a Heart of Gold that's about a prostitute who gets run over with a car and a doctor puts a literal heart of gold inside of her. I mean, you can't make something like that and expect everyone to like it. Same with, I did a movie called Cheap that was about snuff films. Like, I mean, that's not for everybody, you know, this shot on high 8-tape camera movie, it's not going to be for everyone. Of course it's going to get criticism. And I have no problem with that. People either like it or they don't. And also I look at it from the sense that, you know, I make fun of movies. I crack jokes about movies like Dogs, The Taming of Rebecca, stuff like that. Going to the midnight screenings, you know, we make fun of stuff like Smurfs 2. So, yeah, I mean, I can't sit there and make fun of movies myself and then get mad when somebody doesn't like one of mine. You know, it's if people like it, that's great, and if they don't, then that's probably understandable if it's not their taste.
You've been a very good sport letting me make fun of your films as nostalgia critic.
I was when you were like, can I do Paranoia or the Snob movie? Was that the other one too? And I was like, please do Paranoia. I was sitting there like, I wrote Paranoia when I was 17 years old. There's a lot of stuff to make fun of. It is ripe for riffing. Like that would, yes, I would love that.
I'm so glad you said, because that was the one I really wanted to do. Cause,
I was gonna do it too at one point, and then just forgot about it. I think I was gonna do that and put it on a DVD or something like that. And you asked me about it. I was like, great, that would be awesome.
That'll save me time having to do it.
That'll save me time, and yeah, that's cool. Having the critic make fun of this movie I wrote when I was 17 years old. That's a really goofy movie. It is. It's a goofy freaking movie. So it's ripe for making fun of. So that was. I had a lot of fun watching that.
Something that you seem to be very good at, speaking of criticism, is that whenever someone, or I should say a group of people or audience, looks at something you have put together and they either disagree or they don't like it or they want to troll you or attack you, you seem to be very good at dealing with it, whether it be just either ignoring it or coming back with a very clever, funny video acknowledging it and making fun of it.
Well, it's never good to, in my opinion, I mean, it's never good to, even if you see something on there that really, really upsets you. In my opinion, it's never good to just lash out and stuff like that because, oh God, I reviewed, what did I review? I reviewed Real Steel once and made a crack that the director of it was so bad he'd make a snuff film of his own grandma or something like that. Like it was an ad-libbed review and it was pretty harsh in retrospect. But so I kind of look at it as like I can't get too mad when somebody just makes fun of me, because I make fun of stuff. And I see, I get a lot of trolly comments on my site, of course. Everybody does. But I'm the kind of guy that can see the really, really dark humor in that. I can. And so yeah, of course there are times when stuff like that can go too far, of course. And, I tend to, when that happens, I tend to deal with it with humor to try to liven things up a little bit because humor is a really good defense mechanism. It is. If you can make somebody laugh about a very odd and intense situation, that's a good way to kind of lessen the intensity of it. But yeah, of course there are times when I sort of have to take care of it, but I don't get too mad because you kind of got to go into this knowing that that's going to happen. If you're sitting there and you're making fun of stuff, you kind of got to expect that that's probably also going to happen to you. And so I just sort of let it happen, and it kind of, I hope, and usually it just works itself out.
You have this real fascination, I even say it goes beyond nostalgia, just this fascination with the 80s. You even have a character called 80s Dan.
Yeah.
What is it about that time period that's just different from all other time periods that you enjoy so much?
Oh, because I think it just stems from the fact that we were kids then, I was 10 when the 80s ended, so it's purely nostalgic, it's purely having a fondness for when you were a kid and you watched all these cartoons and you grew up going to see these silly movies and it also has to do with my taste in music too. The 80s are about my favorite decade for music. Same with television series, but again, it's because that's when I grew up. It's when I was a kid during that. So yeah, it stems from that. Like, of course, if I was probably 10 when the 90s ended, I would probably be nostalgic for the 90s, but I was a teenager in the 90s, so I can be like, the 90s were kind of lame.
So you obviously, you like making films, you like reviewing films. What persuaded you to start reviewing it and sort of in this comedic negative
That was a
fashion?
lark, because I started out wanting to strictly make really dark thrillers. I had made 3 by the time I started doing The Snob, and I started doing The Snob in 2007. Again, as a lark, I had a job at the time where I was only there like 3 hours out of the day. I had some spare time. At that particular time, there wasn't much in the way of a show like that had to do with exploitation movies. So I was like, you know what? I really love exploitation movies. It's definitely my thing, horror exploitation flicks. It would be kind of fun to maybe put some videos on YouTube and see if anyone checks them out. And I shot a few episodes on like Burial Ground, Porno Holocaust, all as this very snooty critic who obviously these movies aren't intended for him, because that kind of makes me laugh when you see Roger Ebert reviewing Friday the 13th Part 4 or a Mondo Cane movie. You know, it's kind of funny seeing someone like that reviewing a movie like that with going into it the same way he would kind of go into The Godfather. Like it's just pretty funny. So I kind of based it on that somewhat, and I kept doing it not because it became really popular or anything like that. I just liked doing it, and again, it's like I said, I wasn't making any movies at the time. The 3 movies that I did make didn't really go anywhere. So I kept doing it because I enjoyed it, and then a couple years went by and more people started watching it. So it's like, well, I didn't expect that from the beginning.
So you just kept it going. You
just kept it going. Just kept it going because I like it, and I don't know if you're the same way, but I cannot watch my earlier videos.
It's pretty tough.
Oh my god, it's tough. Like I can't. Like someone will say like, "What's your least favorite episode?" I'll be like, anything from like the first year or two. Because when I was on YouTube at the time there was that 10-minute time limit. You couldn't go over 10 minutes, so the reviews were written a lot differently back then. They had to be condensed in under 10 minutes, so it was non-linear. Now they're very linear, and I prefer that because you can make more jokes about that. So I can't. I consider some of my least favorite stuff I've ever done is earlier episodes of that show.
We've worked together on a couple projects, and I have to say, you are probably one of the most upbeat, positive people I've ever met. What's the secret, man?
Porn.
Just porn? That's what just keeps it all going through?
No, I like acting. I like being on set, you know? I'm there as an actor. I'm doing my job, and in the case of like Kick-Assia, Suburbanites, to Boldly Flee, we're all friends. We don't get to see each other that much, so we're all hanging out like once a year making these movies, and that's to me that's a lot of fun. I mean, when you're on any movie set, you can have stressful times, sure, because it's really, really long days. But, you know, everyone's close, everyone's friends, and even on the most stressful day, I certainly wouldn't regret that. Like, being in the Darth Vader mask in 100-degree attic.
Yeah, sir forgot to ask if you were claustrophobic. Sorry about that.
No, I wasn't claustrophobic. It was just hot. But again, I didn't complain because movie sets aren't supposed to be comfortable. Yeah. You know? Hell, oh God, I can't tell you how many times I've played a serial killer in a movie. Like, I mean, yeah, movie sets aren't supposed to be comfortable, so I had no problem with that. Just, you say cut, I take off the mask, I take some water, I'm good to go. I'm fine.
You may have just answered this one of the final questions here, but I'll ask it anyway. I always end with these 2 questions back to back. They're polar opposites. What is the hardest thing, either professional or personal, that you've ever gone through, and how did you get yourself through it?
Off the top of my head, hardest thing to ever go through. I mean, stuff that happens in your personal life, you know, breakups, things like that. I went through a really, really bad breakup in 2007, I think. 2007, I mean, I was late 20s, whatever. I was doing a lot of drinking at the time, you know, as you do. So yeah, I think everyone goes through something like that in their life, and I certainly did. And how I got through it was I shot more videos. I would consume myself in my work a lot. Honestly, I still do. Whenever bad stuff comes up, sure, I'll focus on writing something, or I'll shoot something. I'll shoot a quick vlog on something. It was the same back then. Like there was a rough spot back then when I was going out. I was going out a lot. I was doing a lot of partying. But yeah, doing videos that got me through that a bit. And I shot Game Boys around that time too. Doing a goofy comedy like that was kind of fun.
And finally, what is the one thing, again, either professional or personal, that you are the most proud of that you've ever done?
Most thing that I'm most proud of. Of the movies I've done, because I do love making movies, is probably Hooker with a Heart of Gold. Yeah, that movie's so goofy. It's so goofy and violent and vulgar, and I think it's a really, really funny movie. I actually think it's kind of a sweet movie at times. Like for a movie about a hooker with a prosthetic golden heart, it has a very sweet love story to it.
It has a lot of heart, doesn't it?
It does. It does. In several ways it does. And I got to play not one but two crazy ass villains in the thing. So, of the things I've shot, the things I've done, that's probably what I'm most proud of. And also being able to do this stuff with my friends too always makes things more fun.
Wonderful. You have been watching Shut Up and Talkin'. This was Brad Jones.
Was?
And this is where, goodbye. And this is the part where we look at each other and we talk over the credits, as like the music is going and everything.
That is not a recipe for Stromboli.
No, this is how I'm gonna kill you. This is for the reality show that we were talking about. Surprise, it's a snuff film.
It's a really long list.
Yeah, I know. Well, there's several different ways you can kill him.
I'm that hard to freaking kill. Not even the list on how to kill Seagal was that long.
You know what? Maybe you should do the show the more I think about it. Why don't you just do the show?
Oh, perfect. What are the steps you go through when you watch porn for a living?
Well, hey.